today, you guys, we are going to learn about the important parts of a function. And so, really quickly, this is what I need you guys all to do. I'm going to give you like 3 minutes to write this problem down. Okay? You just need to write as quickly as you can. You need it in your notes because this is going to be your model problem that we're going to use to learn what we're learning today. So write this down really quick. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Okay. Hey, what we're going to do right now, everybody take this function and put it under y1 in your calculator. Hey, by the way, you guys, plot 1, if any of your stat plots are on, turn them off. Do you remember how to do that? Go up there and highlight it. I mean, get your cursor up there and hit enter, and it will turn it off. Go back down. Okay. So you should put in this function 4x to the 4th minus 8x cubed minus 19x squared plus 23x minus 6. Now, the very first thing you're supposed to do on this is to provide an appropriate viewing window where key features are visible. What do you think, by raise a hand, some of the key features of a graph that we might want to look at? Okay. Okay, the intercepts. Okay, so we want to see where it crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. You might want to write that in your notes. Where it crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. So those are the x-intercepts. And the y-intercepts. Okay. What else do you think we might want to see? Okay. And where it touches on the, what do you mean?
It goes like this, so where it touches.
The x-axis and the y-axis? Okay. And those would be the x-intercepts, but you said the w thing, because some of you guys are looking at the graph.
It goes up, and then where its exact value.
Of the middle part?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do want to see that. That's called the maximum point. What about the minimum points? Hey, everybody do this. I know my last class have these in your calculators already, so some of you guys have appropriate viewing windows, but I want you to learn this yourself. So everybody hit Zoom 6 right now. Zoom 6, because I want you to do this yourself. What do we get when we hit Zoom 6? Okay, we get a standard window. So that's what this would look like on a standard window. Here's the deal. What part of this graph am I not seeing that I want to see? Yeah, I can't see the bottom down there. So we're going to have to change the window. Look at this, too. Do I need to be clear out here to negative 10? Could I bring it in a little bit? Could I bring it in from positive 10 a little bit on the right side? Okay. So I want everybody, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes in your groups to see if you can find an appropriate viewing window, something that will help you see the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, where the minimum values are and where the maximum values are. Okay, see if you can find those. Okay, I've seen what a lot of you have. You guys have good viewing windows where you see some things. If I go to my window right here, I'm going to change mine from like -4 to +4 on my x-axis. Do not need to change my x scale. My y min, I know I have to go a lot lower, right? If you go down to -40, I think a lot of you found out -40. It's about where it is. Here's the problem we ran into last class is when we were finding the minimums and maximums, our cursor, we couldn't see the numbers because our cursor was right over the numbers. So I'm going to go down to -50. I'm going to go down a little bit further. I mean, -40 would give me an appropriate window. Kai, listen. -40 would give me an appropriate viewing window. However, -50 will give me room to work with. Okay, so you want a little room to work with. I need some room to work with up by the x-axis too, where these cross, and so I'm going to leave that at +10. I could go lower, but I want to leave it there. Did you have a question? No. Okay. And I'm going to change my scale to 5. Okay, so we hit the graph. now I see a pretty good window. I see my 3 x-intercepts, I see my y-intercept, and I see my low values right here. And I can see a whole graph. This is called an appropriate viewing window. What you guys are going to have 2 problems to do tonight like this problem right here that we're doing. And the first thing you have to do is write down appropriate viewing window. So my answer, when I write down my answer, it's whatever my window says right here. So I would put x min is -4, x max is +4, x scale is 1, y min -50, y max is +10, y scale is 5. Any questions on that? Yep, and we're going to do that right, and we're going to do that in a second here. Okay, we're going to go through each one of these things that you have to do one at a time. Okay, so any questions on that part? So those are some of the key features that you have to see if you have an appropriate viewing window. Now, you guys are going to probably be doing this on that online calculator unless you have your own calculator at home. Or if you want to come in after school, if you want to stay after school today and do your 2 problems really quickly, you can, because I'm going to be going to meetings. So you could use them then. Also, you know, if you come in just a little bit before school, after school, you can do some of them too. Grab the calculator and do it. I don't know how well yet that online calculator finds some of this stuff on here. So you can do most of it, but I don't know if you can do all of it yet. I'll have to look at it. Okay, next question right here. It says identify the extrema, the domain and range. We're going to talk about the extrema first. Anybody know what I mean by extrema? What do you mean? Okay. The highest part of the parabola? Okay, is this a parabola? Okay. What about the low ones? Could those? Yeah. We actually call them all extrema. Okay. They are all extrema, you guys. The minimums and the maximums. You guys remember last year when we were talking about parabolas, we found minimums and maximums on the parabolas, right? You remember how to do that? That's what we're going to do right now. So everybody go to your graph. And we're going to find this point right here. This is an extrema. I know extrema to you guys seems like extrema means a large something, right? But what we mean by extrema is something extreme, way out there, right? This is like the extreme bottom end. So it's a minimum point, and we're going to find that. Remember how to access the calc menu? Above the trace, it says calc, so we hit second and trace. Number 3 and 4, minimum, maximum. Which one do I want? I want a minimum, right? So I hit number 3. Okay, my cursor right here is cursing up at 0. Is flashing up at 0, -6, and it's asking me for a left bound, and I want to find the one on the lower left. So I'm going to use my left and right keys. Do not use your up and down keys. Up and down keys change between, between equations, but we only have one equation in here. So we're going to use the left key. And we're going to go find the left bound. So I go to my left bound right here. I put my cursor to the left of my minimum. Just anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are left, but you should be within 3 or 4 clicks of the arrow key. Yes. Okay. Well, you're just trying to set some bounds. See, if I hit enter right now, it puts a bound right there, boundary. It's saying, it's an arrow pointing to the right. It's saying that my minimum that I'm looking for is somewhere to the right of that bound. And now after I hit that, now notice it's looking for a right bound. So I hit my right key and I go to the right of the minimum. Just somewhere to the right. You don't want to go past, you know, the next minimum or maximum on that. You only want one min or max between your bounds. If I hit enter, it puts another arrow up here, and now it's stating that my minimum point is between that left and right bound somewhere. Now it's asking me for a guess. I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to get fairly close to it. As long as you're between those 2 bounds and you hit enter right here, you're going to get the answer. Okay, what does it say my maximum is? Or my minimum? I have a min at -1.268. Remember, we want to round to 3 decimal places. At -39.063. Okay, that is a minimum. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to find the maximum that's up there. Where is the maximum? Okay, it's right there at the top of that W right there, and then the minimum right here. Going to give you 2 minutes. Find the other min and max. Go. Okay, so I think you guys found out that the two minimums had the same y value. Did you notice that? But not the same x value. Did you notice that? And what did you guys get for the maximum value? Okay. What? 0.5 comma 2? 0.5 comma 0 I think is what it is, right? How many of you guys got 0.5 comma 0? Okay, that's right. 0.5 comma 0. All right. Next, we got to find the domain and range. So, let's look at the graph again. Okay? You all remember what domain and range is, right? Domain is all the x numbers takes in, range is all the y numbers. I'm going to give you a minute in your group to discuss. Come up with what you think the domain and range is. Go. Okay, you guys, we have two different examples of ways of writing the domain and range up here. This is the first way, domain. This is the second, and the range for that one, and then this is the domain and range down here. Okay, let's talk about the first way. Anything you guys want to mention about that, Jaleesa? What do you guys think? All right. Okay, so right here. Yeah, anytime you have infinity, you leave it open because it's going on forever like that. So right here, we do the same thing. Now, why would we leave a bracket right there? Because it includes that point right there, right? Okay, yes. Let's see. Okay. Hey, by the way, so this table over here wrote all reals for the domain. Is that the same thing as this up here? Exact same thing, right? So that's right. That's just a different way of expressing it. And then right here they wrote y is greater than or equal to negative 39.063. Is that the same thing as this right here? Yes, it is. So there's two different ways to write the domain and range. By the way, it took you guys a little bit to remember domain, but remember, domain just means all the x numbers it can take on. And because this graph goes forever, it's going up as it goes left, but it's going left forever, isn't it? And it's going right and up forever. So this graph right here, the domain takes on every point in between. You can see it's a continuous function. If you were to trace it, you don't have to lift your pencil to trace it. Yes? And okay, well, we're gonna talk about that right now. The range is all the numbers, the y numbers it takes on. And you'll notice that the lowest point on the graph is negative 39.063, right? It includes that point. If it didn't include that point, we'd put a parenthesis. But since it includes that, we put a bracket to denote that it. Yeah, yep, exactly. So like right here, he put that greater than or equal to sign right there. That means it included that point. Okay? And so this graph only exists from negative 39.063 and up. It doesn't exist below there. Does everybody understand that? Okay. All right, so that's the domain and range. Okay, going back to this problem, the next thing it wants us to determine is the intervals over which the function is increasing or decreasing. If you look at this function, as you move left to right, this is the definition of increasing or decreasing. As you move left to right, what are the y values doing? What's the y values doing right here? They're going down, so we'd say decreasing. Until it gets to right here, right? And then it goes up, it's increasing. And then at that turning point, or that maximum point, it starts to decrease. Until you get to that point, then it starts to increase. So how many intervals do we have here? We have 4 intervals. 2 of them are increasing, 2 of them are decreasing right here. What I want you to see is if in your groups you can write the x intervals. How do you write it, the x intervals on which it's increasing and decreasing? If the x intervals on which it's increasing or decreasing. I want you to talk about that in your groups. You got a couple minutes. Go. Okay, hey, listen, you guys, the bell's going to ring. I think most of you had it right. If your table couldn't get it, ask one of these tables. They got it. Listen, on this problem right here, the roots are the zeros, okay? I'm going to give you an assignment. There's a mixture problem and 2 of these type of problems on there. I want you to do as much as we've talked about on these 2 problems right here, okay, before next class. Okay, see you guys.